You were listening to chartingwealth.com for Friday, the 11th of May, 2018. Everything is up for the day. Stocks are up the most. The S&P 500 up 0.93%. The NASDAQ 100 up 1.04%. TLT 20-year bonds up 0.81%. And gold up 0.68%. Let's jump first, as we always do, into the S&P 500. So far, we have a green up candle. The market had been sliding sideways since really the week ending the 20th of April. And over those prior 2 weeks, the week ending the 4th of May and the week ending the 27th of April, we just saw dojis and sideways sliding. Well, this week so far looks like it's going to be an up week. We continue to see the derivative oscillator lose downward momentum, and the price percent oscillator now is headed up. Don't think we'll end the day on Friday with a crossover going up, but looks like we're headed that way. As we look at the 2-day chart, we see that it, of course, has spiked on the price percent oscillator, derivative oscillator, also gaining upward momentum after losing it over the last many 2-day candles. We now have 4 days of strong up movement, price movement above the 2-day trend line, and we just continue to see this market moving. As we look at the weekly chart, I do want to point out it's still in a confirmed down move since it rotated over, going down back on the 9th of February, going that far back. That was that week of the big hammer blow. Now let's look at the 4-hour chart, see what we see there. Of course, it crossed over going up back on the Friday the 4th of May in the afternoon, and went on up Monday morning and then sort of sideways Monday afternoon and Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Thursday has marched up pretty strong. So we'll wait and see once we have that weekly vertical crossover on the S&P 500. If it does occur and the market doesn't roll back over, then we may have some trades in the next week or two. Not at this time because of the difference between the weekly and the 2-day moving in opposite directions. Remember, we are trend followers. Okay, what about the NASDAQ 100? Well, on the weekly chart, we always check that out first because remember, all things being equal, the market tends to move in the direction of the largest chart until it flips over. Well, it looks like it's getting closer and closer to that. Derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. Price percent oscillator looks like it's getting closer to crossing over going up. Hasn't happened yet. And of course, we see a big strong up candle for the week. The prior week had been a green open box candle, but again, still similar to the S&P 500, a sideways slide tending up. And as we delve a little deeper into things, look at the 2-day chart, we can see that it crossed over going up back on the 4th of May. And we now have 3 green up candles, these last 2 being the strongest, derivative oscillator gaining upward momentum, price percent oscillator spiking up quite nicely. And as we look at the 4-hour chart, of course, it bounced off the red signal line back on the 3rd of May and has continued to move up quite nicely, but for a little bit of a pullback and a sideways slide on Tuesday the 8th. The rest of the time since the crossover has been going up quite steadily. Again, we're still in the same situation of derivative oscillator gaining upward momentum, price percent oscillator heading up. But we're still in the same situation with the market has not yet corrected for that big down time that we saw. Well, we saw it happen back on the 9th of February. Then things moved up over several weeks. And then, of course, the market started getting hammered down as far as the NASDAQ 100 goes on the 23rd, the week ending the 23rd of March, and for the following 3 weeks. And we seem to be trying to recover from that. We'll see if there's a weekly vertical crossover at some point. Doubt the week's going to end that way unless it's a booming day on Friday. Probably won't be enough energy to pull everything up, but getting closer. Okay, back to the weekly chart and on to TLT 20-year bonds. Remember, they crossed over going up back on the 29th, and then sort of leveled out over the next 2 weeks and started dropping the week ending the 20th of April. And what we are waiting to see is there going to be a crossover going down? There is not. We're still in a confirmed up move. There's been some downward movement, but not enough, really citing sideways over the last 2 weeks, not enough down movement to rotate that weekly chart over going down. So we'll continue to watch things, see when and if that occurs. What's going on the 2-day chart? Well, it seems to be losing downward momentum as far as the price percent oscillator and the derivative oscillator go. Derivative oscillator losing more downward momentum. Price percent oscillator flat, appears to be headed up toward the red signal line. But again, that's on the 2-day chart. Haven't had a crossover yet, so we'll continue to watch. If we do and it heads up, then of course the weekly's already primed for an up move. If that happens, we will look to jump into an up move. If things rotate over and the weekly's pulled over going down along with the 2-day, then we'll look for a down play. Remember, we follow trends. We don't forecast. Following trends, we believe, is the safest way for you to be able to get into the market and ride the wave. That's what we're talking about. You're not fighting the wave. You're not predicting the wave. You're riding the wave like all good surfers know how to do. Okay, lastly, on this chart, we'll look at the 4-hour, see where it is. Of course, it's just peaked over, actually moving up, sort of laminated over the afternoon on Wednesday and Thursday morning, and then crossed back over the 4-hour price percent oscillator, headed up, price movement still below the 2-day trend line. So we'll keep an eye on TLT, see what happens over the coming days, and keep you posted. What's up with gold? Well, gold is in a confirmed down move on that weekly chart. And in fact, derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum, price percent oscillator headed down, not at quite the same angle it had been the prior week rather. We do see a green closed box candle, not as strong as our green open box candles. So again, that's why we see the derivative oscillator gaining downward momentum, price percent oscillator still headed down, but a bit of a pullback on the prior 2 weeks of stronger down movement. Price movement still below the weekly trend line, so we'll keep our eye on gold. What do we see on that 2-day chart? Well, it's still in a confirmed down move, although the price percent oscillator does appear to be moving up and the derivative oscillators losing downward momentum. We see on this latest 2-day candle actually a green open box candle, more like a spinning top, a big wick on top, little bit of a wick on the bottom. Again, price movement has broken through. It did about 5 days ago. It broke through the 2-day trend line. Price movement still below the weekly trend line, so we'll continue to keep our eye on things. We were watching to see if on this 4-hour chart it was going to rotate over going down on Thursday. It did not. In fact, it gained momentum, popped up in the morning and sort of on up in the afternoon, but not surpassing where things were in the morning on Thursday. So we don't have that rotation over and the jumping in point we were looking for in case it occurred, so we can't ride that. We'll just continue to watch gold, pay attention to things. If there's a big, heavy down day on Friday, might have a jumping in point on that 4-hour chart. We'll continue to keep our eye on the prize. Remember, we trade when the opportunity presents itself. We don't force these things. You can't force the market. The market will always crush you if you try to do that. Folks, mailing out the books tomorrow. Thank you for everybody who's pre-ordered. Please go ahead, place your orders. We will fulfill them in the manner, as they are received. We will get those out to you. Again, Charting Your Way to Wealth is the name of our new book. We hope that you'll go to the website, look under the Daily Market Review. You can see the links to place your orders there. Also at our Charting Wealth YouTube channel. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team here at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.